secret's out. Everyone finally remembers who Hope is, and she's back. They'll have their memories back. How complicated do you think things are going to get going forward now that everyone remembers?
So complicated.
Very complicated.
I think that everybody kind of expected that once Hope was remembered, everything would just go back to normal. Mm-hmm. And a big part of that is just how Danielle always says it. She's like, nobody's excited for Hope to be back. Because it just like, everything gets like explodes and then just shatters everywhere. And then it's like trying to put the pieces back together of like what it means now.
Yeah, totally. And there has been a lot of progression while she's been gone. And also even for Hope, there's like a lot of change. And so yeah, on all sides, it's felt, for sure.
And then your character had a really nice moment with Hope where she admitted that she likes her and thinks she's pretty cool. What was it like finally?
It's my favorite.
Yeah, it was great. I've always kind of had that inside of Lizzie, like obviously her jealousy and, you know, I think it all stems from this place of admiration because Hope is such a badass and she's so amazing. And so Lizzie's just like, man, I wish I could be like that. So, no, it was great that it was finally addressed.
And then, how do you think they're able to come up with such crazy monsters every week? For some reason, this Croatoan really shook me. I was up with this stuff. Like, are you guys like... Is there ever been like a monster where you're like, how did they come, what is this, like what's going on?
Well, the way it works is that in the writer's room, they have this basically like round table and then they have a whiteboard and people will literally just throw out ideas and research and everything. So it's like if you sit in the writer's room when they're like monster hunting for like literally like looking for a monster to put in the story, it's so fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it really is. And the great thing about the Croatoan is like it's actually a historically relevant thing. Like if you Google it, that whole like town that existed and it scratched into the tree and stuff is all real historical stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. It gave me AHS vibes. They had that like as a season of AHS, so I was like very shook. I was like, oh, and it was so gross looking.
It was so
with
gross.
the
tentacle around my neck. I would never ever like to reprise that thing.
That was my favorite because they put all the goo on it when you like open up.
Very slimy. Oh man.
So you actually felt it because I feel like viewers think it's all CGI.
No, yeah, they had like a practical tentacle that like moved, and yeah, this guy like held like the end of it with a string, and it was like but part of it was also mechanical, so it was just, it was nasty.
It's gross.
Yeah.
Like Jenny's been says they're like the ringer this season of like the gross things happen to her.
I'm not gonna talk about it.
So for your character, you had kind of like this thing where we didn't know if you were going to make the right decision and like give everyone their memories back. Why do you think it was so hard for Josie to come to that decision?
I think it's difficult because Josie, her entire arc since episode 1 of season 1 has been finding ways to be selfish and what it means to kind of have self-respect for yourself. I just popped that, sorry. And so with her decision making in that is like what is too selfless and what is right for myself. But there comes a point where you have to realize that this affects everybody. It's not just a selfish thing to be like, oh, well, I want him to like me. It's like, well, Hope has a family that she needs to go see and go help because at the bottom line of everything is Josie wants to be a helpful person. And so it's a hard decision. I think anybody would have a hard time with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then how heartbreaking was it when Landon finally remembered who Hope was? I felt so bad for him, especially when he's like, you didn't think that I'd want to remember you. I was like, oh, that's so sad.
It's so true, though.
It's
like, how hurtful would that be?
It is, but I also see her side of things. You know, it's like, she says, like, what if I just tell them and they're like, so? You know? Like, sucks for you. I think it's a tough one. Like, you don't know what the clear answer is.
Yeah, there is no clear answer.
Yeah.
Definitely. So there's a really sweet scene with the both of you near the end of the episode. What's it like playing these two characters who were so there for each other no matter what?
I love it.
Yeah, me too. It was one of our first scenes this season.
Yeah, because we haven't been able to really like have sister moments this season. And Bola Ogun is the director for this episode, and we kind of like started the scene and she was like, you guys are sisters. You're allowed to get mad at each other and you're allowed to forgive each other. And I think that it was just a really fun scene to shoot and kind of play around and be there for each other.
Yeah, definitely.